Good afternoon, my friends. This will be the last video I am sharing today, but today we are finishing up month 3, and we are going to also finish up the book of Deuteronomy, chapters 33 and 34. And so I want to thank you for listening, but this month we have covered the books of we finished up the books of Matthew, We've read the book of Romans. We've worked through a lot of the book of Psalms, and we've worked through the whole book of Numbers, and now we're going to finish up the book of Deuteronomy in month 3. If you've missed them, please go back and watch. It'd be greatly appreciated. All right, so chapter 33 in Deuteronomy starts out with the blessing of Moses, and it says, "This is the blessing with which Moses, the man of God, blessed the sons of Israel before his death," where it says, "Bless the sons of Israel before his death." Israel's blessings on his 12 sons is recorded in Genesis chapter 49, verses 1 through 27. Verse 2, he said, "The Lord came from Sinai and dawned on them from Seir. He shone forth from Mount Paran, and he came from among 10,000 holy ones. At his right hand was a flaming fire, a law for them." Where it says flaming fire, where it says or fiery law. Verse 3, "Indeed, he loves his people. All your holy ones are in your hand. They followed in your steps. They accept and receive direction from you." Where it says your holy ones, other literature has the word his. Verse 4, "Moses commanded us with the law as a possession for the assembly of Jacob." The king was king in Jeshurun, Israel, when the heads of the people were gathered, the tribes of Israel together. Verse 6, "May the tribe of Reuben live and not die out, but let his men be few," where it says, "but let his men be few," or nor. The Hebrew can be taken either way. Through the parallelism of thought, slightly favors nor let. However, some argue for the wording "but let" due to the fact that Reuben had committed the grave offense of fornication with Bilhah, his father's concubine, in Genesis chapter 49, verses 3 and 4. You can also see the note in Genesis chapter 22, verse 24. It is maintained that Moses' blessing for Reuben is somewhat mixed, asking that a tribe not become extinct, but that it always be few in number. All right, verse 7. "And Moses said this of Judah, Hear, O Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him to his people. With his hands he contended for them, and may ye be a help against his enemies." Where it says Judah. The tribe of Judah later absorbed the tribe of Simon. Check out Joshua chapter 19, verses 1 through 9. Therefore, a specific blessing for Simon is omitted from this passage. Verse 8. Of Levi he said, "Your Thummim and your Urim belong to your godly man Aaron, whom you tested and proved at Mesa, with whom you contended at the waters of Meribah." Check out Numbers chapter 20, verses 1 through 13, where it says Thummim. For example, unspecified articles used like lots when the high priest asked God's counsel for Israel. All right, verse 9. "Who said of his father and mother, I did not consider them, nor did he acknowledge his brothers, nor did he regard his own sons. For the priest observed your word and kept your covenant." Where it said of his father in verse 9. So the law required that the high priest act just as impartially when one of his immediate family died as if the departed were not related to him. Check out Leviticus chapter 21, verses 10 through 12. However, another application may be intended, referring to the events at the foot of Sinai, when the Levites killed other Israelites as Moses directed them. Check out Exodus chapter 32, verses 26, 27, and 28. All right, verse 10. The priest shall teach you your ordinances and judgments to Jacob, and your law to Israel. They shall put incense before you, and whole burnt offerings on your altar. Where it says before you, other literature says in your nose. Verse 11. O Lord, bless Levi's substantiality, and accept and take pleasure in the works of his hands. Crush and shatter the loins of those who rise up against him, and of those who hate him, so that they do not rise again. Verse 12. Of Benjamin he said, May the beloved of the Lord dwell in safety by him. He shields and covers him all the day long, and he dwells between his shoulders. Where it says, dwell in safety by him, the temple in Jerusalem was located almost between the ridges of the territory of Benjamin, suggesting between his shoulders. See also Joshua chapter 15, verse 8. Now Moses saw it as a symbol of the Lord's presence covering Benjamin continually. All right, verse 13. And of Joseph he said, Blessed by the Lord be his land, with the precious things of heaven, with the dew, and from the deep water that lies beneath. Where it says Joseph. So because of Reuben's sin with Bilhah, Joseph received the double blessing of the firstborn. The descendants of Joseph became the tribes established by his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Verse 14. With the precious fruits of the sun, and with the precious produce of the months, with the best things of the ancient mountains, and with the precious things of the everlasting hills, with the precious things of the earth and its fullness, and the favor and goodwill of him who dwelt in the bush. Let these blessings come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the crown of the head of him who was distinguished as a prince among his brothers. Check out Exodus chapter 3, verse 4, verse 17. His majesty is like a firstborn young bull, and his horns like the horns of the wild ox. With them he will guard the peoples, all of them together to the ends of the earth. And those are the 10,000 of Ephraim, and those are the thousands of Manasseh. Verse 18. Of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in your interest abroad, and Issachar in your tents at home. Where it says, Rejoice, Zebulun. So not until 1934 was this prophecy notably in process of fulfillment, when Haifa's Bay became one of the great harbors of the Mediterranean Sea, with commerce affecting the whole world. All right, verse 19. They will call the peoples to the mountain, Mount Carmel. There they will offer sacrifices of righteousness. For they will draw out the abundance of the seas and the hidden treasures of the sand. Of Gad he said, Blessed is the one who enlarges Gad. He lurks like a lioness, and tears the arm and the crown of the head. He selected the best land for himself, and there the leader's portion was reserved. Yet he came with the leaders of the people. He carried out the justice, righteous will of the Lord, and his ordinance and judgments with Israel. Check out Numbers chapter 32, verses 29 through 33. Verse 22. Of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's cub that leaps forthwith from Bashan. Of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor, and full of the blessing of the Lord, take possession of the sea of Galilee and the south. Of Asher he said, More blessed than sons is Asher. May he be favored by his brothers, and may he dip his foot in oil. Your strongholds will be iron and bronze, and as your days are, so will your strength, your rest, and security be. There is none like the God of Jeshurun, Israel, who rides the heavens to your help. And through the skies in his majestic glory, the eternal God is your refuge and dwelling place, and underneath are the everlasting arms. He drove out the enemy from before you and said, Destroy. So Israel dwells in safety and security, the fountain of Jacob alone and secluded. In a land of grain and new wine, his heavens also drop down dew. Happy and blessed are you, O Israel. Who is like you? A people saved by the Lord, the shield of your help, and the sword of your majesty. Your enemies will cringe before you, and you will tread on their high places, trampling down their idolatrous altars. All right, chapter 34 is the death of Moses, and it says, Now Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is opposite Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land from Gilead to Dan. So the author of this final section regarding the death of Moses is uncertain. So verse 2. And all Naphtali and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah to the western sea, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Negev, the south country, and the plain in the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, as far as Zoar. Then the Lord said to him, This is the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to your descendants. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you shall not go over there. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him in the valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor, but no man knows where his burial place is to this day. Although Moses was 120 years old when he died, his eyesight was not dim, nor his natural strength abated. Check out Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 2. Verse 8. So the sons of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab for 30 days. Then the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. Now Joshua the son of Nun was filled with the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands on him. So the sons of Israel listened to him and did as the Lord commanded Moses. Since that time no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. None equal to him in all the signs and wonders which the Lord sent him to perform in the land of Egypt against Pharaoh, all his servants, and all his land. And in all the mighty power and all the great and terrible deeds which Moses performed in the sight of all Israel. All right, thank you guys.